In the gym and in the car, with our advice you could go far. We fuck things up and we make mistakes, and talk about our sexy dates. We host events and go to clubs, but most of all we're still in love. It's getting hard for this to rhyme, just as well 'cause it's bed hopping time. Hello and welcome to the Bed Hoppers podcast. My name's Mr. H.
I'm Mrs. H.
This is episode 191. Thanks for joining us today. We've got some stuff to get through.
Have we?
We do indeed. Firstly, we're going to talk about that thing that you didn't go to, probably. You did, obviously.
I
but
went.
maybe you, gentle listener, didn't go to. Or maybe you did, about our social in
The
Southampton.
social.
Yeah, we did one of them.
We did. It was really good.
Very successful.
Yes.
And any highlights for you?
Highlights. Okay. So this time round, I was a little bit more upfront with the venue about the nature of our event.
All right.
And I felt a lot more relaxed about then some inevitable kissing that might happen.
Okay.
There was nothing else.
Yeah.
It was all still very good and very respectful, as it should be, because it was a vanilla socially event. But I felt more relaxed,
Okay.
knowing that I kind of just set the scene a little bit more. And I just felt like it was a step forward,
Yeah.
like a really progressive step in the right direction, that we were able to be a bit more authentic in public without still being ridiculous, you know?
Okay. No, that's cool.
So I thought that was a really highlight, that we were welcomed in a public area.
I'm inclined to agree. I think it was nice to sort of be a little bit more open, although I think they would have sussed it out by the end of it, and they have done previously.
But
So
it's nice to have the acceptance rather than seek forgiveness.
yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think the other thing, we did speed dating for the first time.
Oh my God, it was like herding cats.
So I thought in advance I would send an email out and a message on our chat group to say, hey, we're doing speed dating. If you don't want to take part, you go in this end of the room, which, to be fair, wasn't very many people.
No.
So sort of 90% of people, I think, decided to take part. But I also explained how it was going to work. But then I found myself having to explain it again on the night in a crowded room and just yelling at people and trying to show them what to do. And the idea was that we'd have an inner circle facing outwards and an outer circle facing inwards, and the outer circle would rotate one to the left.
Yeah.
Like time warp. That's how you remember. It's just a step to the left or jump to the left or whatever,
Yes.
right? So that's what I thought it was going to be. And I thought, well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to sort of create a music track that blows a whistle every 2.5 minutes. So they get 2 minutes of chat time and 30 seconds of faff time,
To rotate.
and then rotate. And that way you get to meet, you're never going to meet everyone, but it's going to be a good chunk. And that we'll do that for an hour.
Yeah.
And getting everyone into the space where we could start it took 15 minutes of us running around like maniacs, blowing whistles, trying to get everyone's attention. However, once we got 3 blows of the whistle in, and we had actual whistles as well, so it was going off automatically with
Yeah.
a sound effect, and then that would alert us to blow our whistles rather than timing it every 2.5
Is
minutes.
that all it takes? 3 blows?
Well, apparently so. I think it took 3 goes to get...
3
'cause-
goes and 3 blows?
Yes, the
Sounds
first
like a shot.
the first one, people went in different directions, didn't work, and then they bunched up, and then people were like, "Well, I like talking to these people. I'm going to stay here." But I think after a couple of goes, they got it, and it worked really, really well. And then I spent most of my time either whistleblowing, wandering around checking on everyone being okay, occasionally bringing people into the place, and then providing people with emergency glasses of Prosecco.
What was I doing?
I think you were helping people come in.
I was doing exactly the same.
the same thing.
But with gusto. And
gusto. I think it was.
The whistle blowing was, I think, scared people.
Yeah,
I was like, right.
Well, I think there's like 3% that were really turned on with you traipsing around with a whistle, and then the rest of the people just were dying every time those things got blown.
So I know what I would do differently next time, and that is have a fucking big megaphone.
I don't know, just a microphone.
No,
Just a
you know what
microphone.
I mean?
Like
I needed to elevate the instructions audibly, and it just was not possible to hear everything properly.
Yeah.
Even with the music turned off, it's just not, you just can't quite get your voice enough to have everyone listening.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you just needed to be able to clearly shout the instructions and be heard.
I think it seemed to go really well. The feedback's
It went well, though.
been really positive. We had our usual badges.
Yeah.
We had a sort of quite a mixed crowd in terms of people that have been to previous events, people that have never been to events before, and people that we've seen at other events. So it was really, really good mixture. People got to meet lots of nice people.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, it got a little bit makey-outy, but that wasn't too bad.
But again, I felt a lot more comfortable. Like normally I'd be freaking out and running around like telling everyone off and going, no, don't, you mustn't do it, because I don't want us to be like chucked out. But actually this time I felt a lot more in control of a destiny of that, because I'd been a little bit more upfront about it all, as I say, and I didn't mind so much. In fact, I might have been one of them.
Well, I think, at one point I thought I was going to have to spray you with cold water to get you off some lady.
Like some heated cat.
Yeah, some like get off. Get off. But yeah, I think
I had a really lovely time.
it was a really fun night, and that really didn't sort of start happening until the very sort of end of the evening.
No, it was fine.
And
just towards the end, as I say, when the crowds are thinning out, most people were starting to drift off to their respective hotels or to go and do some more partying somewhere else, I don't know, or just go home. But it was really, really nice.
the other thing that I thought worked quite well, but we need to improve on, was we got a new camera which takes like Polaroids, but also saves them digitally.
Yeah.
So it was really cool being able to wander around and get people to wander around and just take pictures and print them out if they wanted to. What we've discovered is that we haven't quite figured out how to make the pictures not blurry in the dark.
When you say we...
Well, I think there's anyone that used it was not able to do so.
I mean, I'm not the world's greatest photo taker anyway.
No, it is known.
The fact that I've just called it photo taker should tell you a lot instead of photographer.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky, and I think when you print them out on the day, they're quite small and they look really retro, and you've got this really nice sort of feel to them, and that's awesome. And I think people are really happy with those.
They're fine.
We shared the digital ones in our little chat group, so I think really that was another little success and made it a little bit different, rather than having a photo booth and having to lug that around and maintain that and look after it while it's being used. I think this was like a nice medium solution, I think.
Yeah.
So overall, people seem to have been really pleased with it. I'm really happy with the way it panned out. Later on in the evening, anything happen?
We had another late night.
We did have a late night.
Because it is apparently impossible to ever go to bed before 3 a.m.
Well, I think
this lifestyle.
So we got home about 1:30?
Yeah, about that.
About that, 1:45. And then everyone was really hungry, so I made like a beige buffet or something. And then we sort of wolfed that down, and then I think you got pretty tired. I think you were ready to go to sleep.
2:30.
I was not ready to go to sleep.
Well, I know that.
But we had
naughty sausage.
A naughty sausage.
Yeah.
So what happened? Tell us, what was the situation?
You tell me what happened.
I'll tell you what happened.
Because I don't know, because I went to sleep.
You tell me the situation.
Oh, the situation. The situation was that 2 of the party were a little bit tired.
Yeah.
And 2 of the party were doing the whole... well, this could be a thing. We could do some stuff. And then I made an executive decision that he would not get the best out of me. As much as I wanted to be involved, I really did. But also I knew I would just be absolute rubbish because I was so tired, and that was not fair on anyone. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be the bigger person. You 2 can go and do some stuff, Mr. H.
Yeah.
And the other person.
Okay.
And I went and climbed into bed with the other sleeping party.
I like the way you looked at the 2 of us and turned to us like Snape talking to Potter. And you're like,
Potter.
Be efficient, Potter. And then you just walked out.
I did tell you to be efficient.
You have until 3:30, Potter.
I said you've got half an hour.
You've got half an hour, Potter.
But that's more than enough for shenanigans. And we don't want to be going to sleep at 4 a.m. And so I said, be efficient. And then I swept off. I wish I'd had a cape, actually.
We gave you 8 minutes back. I don't know what you're complaining about.
Oh, my God.
We were precisely 22 minutes.
Yeah, but you woke me up to then move me back to my own bed.
Yes, because you wanted to come back to our bed.
Yes, I know.
You wouldn't want me to sleep in another room with someone else.
It was 2:45 by this point. No, it was later.
No, it was 22 minutes past 3.
Yes, past 3. It's the witching hour. What's going on?
I don't know. It's when I do
Why
my...
do you have to start business so late?
I do my best work.
No, you
I
don't.
couldn't start
Yeah,
the
but
business.
I can't do my best work at that time. We need to find a way so we can both bring our best A game to
So
this
time
table.
before the social, right? I was
Right.
cooking and preparing you food.
We hadn't got time for social. We
There
were
we go.
running around.
Right? Social, can't do anything there.
Well, no.
Get home from the social, everyone's hungry and wants
Well,
food.
yeah, we haven't
so I was
eaten.
cooking. So at what point?
The next day.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, some fun was.
Not 3 a.m. Not fair.
Why is it not fair?
Because I was too tired.
That's not my fault.
Oh, God. I see. I don't think we'll ever be able to find a solution to this.
No, I don't think we ever will do.
I just can't. I've just got no energy at that point. Who the fuck has energy at 3 a.m.?
Me.
Oh.
Me.
How?
Like, on a Saturday or Friday night, if we're out, I normally have the energy. I don't know
Where
how.
do you find it?
I
If you
just-
say Red Bull, I will end you.
No, I don't.
Good.
You know, I don't really drink Red Bull. Like occasionally,
Really
yeah,
drink Red Bull.
I really don't normally. There's like if we're out and I get given a
Right.
vodka Red Bull or something, I'll drink it.
Oh.
I won't be like hissing at it like a vampire at the sunlight.
Did you get given a vodka Red Bull
No,
that night?
no one
Where
gave-
did you find your energy?
I just had the energy because it's me. Because I have energy sometimes. It's because I spend the rest of my time being slovenly that I'm able to actually leap into action when called for.
Oh, okay.
So
Fine.
yeah, anyway.
It
Overall,
was a really great night.
it was a really great night. We had lots of fun.
We slept a lot the next day.
We pretty much napped the whole way through the next day. So we're sorry for kind of if you didn't get to go and didn't get a chance to get tickets, we're sorry. And if you didn't go because you don't live near us or wherever it is, then we're sorry that we've taken up
Come
10
to
minutes
another
talking
one.
about it. Yeah, come to one of the other ones. Fly over. Just join us for our next event, whenever that is. We're working on that as we speak. And hopefully we'll have some news in the coming weeks,
Yeah.
maybe. Who knows? We may do. Probably. Maybe. But, there's other great things going on as well. So, and we've got some good stuff coming up.
Okay.
Now, what I want to do today, now we've talked about the social a little bit
Right.
and spoken a little bit about that, is talk about some questions that we've had on our Discord.
Okie
So being completely unprepared for a podcast after the social event.
Yeah.
Because it does eat up your time, right?
Yeah.
And you are running around trying to get stuff ready for it. And
Always.
knowing full well that we've got 2 very busy nights coming up this weekend,
We do.
we thought we'd reach out to our Discord and ask people if they had any questions, Discord chat group, whichever, any questions for us that they'd like us to cover, answer. Could be about lifestyle, could be about us, could be about anything really.
The glorious thing is, Mr. H, is I rarely go into the Discord, as you well know. So these will be a complete surprise to me as well.
Yeah, I think they will be. Anyways, let's go with the first one. So,
All right.
do you see yourselves still doing lifestyle stuff in 10, 20, 40 years' time? Is there ever a stop point?
Okay. Well, yes, death. that will definitely stop things. And in 40 years' time, I'll be 90. So that's probably not okay.
Well, it might be. You never know.
You'll probably still have just as much energy than you do now.
I don't know.
You're 90.
I'll probably keel over and die, and we'll realise that it was my high blood pressure that was charging me around like a lunatic all this time. So I think there is a limited amount of time to it. I'd like to think that we've got at least another 10 years left of running around like idiots and having fun and sexy adventures.
Uh-huh.
I think as we get into, or as you get into your 60s,
Oh God, don't say that. However, yes, it's an inevitability at some point.
I think if you're young at heart and you've still got the energy and motivation to do it, then I think it's a fun and exciting thing to continue doing.
If, I've got hip replacements, something, then all the better.
Put magnets in your feet so it's easier to put
Be
them over your head.
fine.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
I think there is a reality where things are going to ease up at some point. But then I look at some of the people that have been podcasting for years and years, like We Got a Thing, who are a bit older than us, and they're still going and still having adventures, and some other folks not being generally ageist about it, but just they've been around longer. So I think that it's quite likely that we'll carry on doing it until one of us is too ill or too old or death, or one of us fucks it up, which is always a possibility.
Yeah.
I think, as we're getting older and getting more comfortable in this sort of lifestyle thing, I think, we are doing stuff that does come with more risk, like solo dating and things like that. We've been trying some of those things. So the risk of it going wrong gets higher. But actually, when you compare it to how much we fucked it up in early days, I don't think it's massively changed. So I think as long as we proceed with caution and still enjoy it and still continue to chat on a regular basis, then I think that'll be the right thing to do. Whether we still do the podcast then is another matter entirely, I think.
Well, they even had podcasts in 40 years' time. Flying cars, right?
Maybe. I mean, there's already flying cars.
Where? What? How? No, it's not.
They've got the technology to do that. Yeah, they can, there's all sorts of flying car type things being prototyped and whatnot. But anyway, my take is that at the moment, I don't foresee us stopping because we're enjoying it still and it's not a burden.
Yeah, I think my approach to it might shift with age because inevitably, as you say, things decline. And we may find that we still dabble in some kind of lifestyle activity that may not necessarily be the same as it is now.
Yeah,
But I think we'll probably still be immersed in this community of people because they are wonderful, and the friends we've made, I hope, will be around for a long time. Whether I'm, pants on or off by that point. My big pants.
Big pants.
My big 80-year-old pants.
Your big incontinence pants. Incontinence pants on or off friends.
I'll be there in my old age, like going to bingo, lifestyle bingo.
Well, someone's followed that up, I guess, kind of linked. Do you ever think you would make the decision to leave the lifestyle? And I guess unless it's one of those reasons that we've just mentioned, I think if something goes horrifically wrong, I think it could be enough to force us away from it. But most things we've been able to recover from.
I think obviously if one of us decided that this was no longer something we enjoyed and we asked the other one if we could withdraw from this, I think ultimately we've always said that we would to preserve our relationship.
Yeah.
So if we had to stop, we could. I like to think that.
Yeah.
But I don't foresee it happening at the moment because we're enjoying it too much.
And I think that would be the thing. If one of us if there was an incident that upset one of us, I think the other would probably, we'd both miss it to a certain extent, or at least the community. So I think I can't foresee something unless it's like a catastrophic relationship failure.
Well, one of us falls in love.
Again.
What if you fall in love and run off with someone?
Well, then that's life.
Then I'll have to find someone else anyway.
Well, but then equally that could. This is always an interesting one because it is a fear, and I'm perpetually afraid of being left out and left alone.
No, you do the leaving probably.
Oh, it's very kind.
You would leave me.
Well, I think the thing is that that could happen just going to Sainsbury's or working with someone or whatever. There's always a risk that you're going to meet someone and make a connection. It's just now with this stuff, we put ourselves more at risk of love exposure.
Oh my God.
But it's true, isn't it?
Is that the title of one of your studio albums?
Love exposure. I think, we put ourselves in these situations, and I think particularly in that sort of grey space between swingers and poly and that swinger plus bit, I have no doubt you could develop feelings. But I think we've been very, very careful around that, and I think we had the right level of exposure to people at the moment that I think we're pretty safe. But I think we've also been, there's never been a situation, I don't think, where we've actually gone, you know what? I love that person. Like, we love the people, but we're not in love with the people.
You wouldn't see yourself forming a separate relationship with them?
No, I don't. At this stage, I don't think I would. I think that, again, it's same with anything. I think it's fine. Probably in your head, you're probably thinking, yeah, it'd be great to have like another husband or girlfriend or whatever that would, that you can see and go out and do. But then when you think about your partner doing the same thing, it's like, eek, no, never. So I don't think that we'll be in a space where we end up sort of looking at a poly style relationship. And I also think our bond is really good, and I can't imagine wanting to live and be with somebody else in the way that I am with you. Sure, it's great to experience other people, and I enjoy that, and I get a lot of fun out of it. But I don't particularly see me falling in love with someone.
Nice. You still fancy me then?
Yeah, just about.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's just holding on in there.
Oh,
I know, last legs McGee. It's terrible.
off to Sainsbury's for no reason.
Well, is there anything you would change about the way your lifestyle journey has gone? I have an answer for this. Me,
You
me,
always
me,
have
me.
an answer.
Pick me. I think the only thing I would change, and this is difficult because it's like the butterfly effect, right? Is that I wish we'd gotten to the stage where we could enjoy it earlier.
You mean earlier in our
In
relationship?
our relationship.
When we were younger.
When we were a little bit younger.
Okay.
And I think we'd have had a lot of fun with that. But I think it took until the moment that it took for a reason.
Right.
For us to feel comfortable, for us to explore it, whatever. But in hindsight, like had we been able to develop that level of comfort a bit quicker, then it would have been nice to have a little bit more youth on our side going out there and doing this stuff.
Ah.
Because the friends that we've made and the communities that we, because it took a while to find them, and the communities that we've helped build or been part of have been really fantastic. And I would like them in my life more in terms of it would have been nice to not waste time sort of because we had a lot of friends that didn't bother with us afterwards and all sorts of things like that. It would have been nice to get through that quicker and get to the good stuff quicker.
I hear what you're saying. So you're referring more than to the social aspects of this and the all the good stuff it's given you socially.
Yeah, I think,
as opposed to necessarily physical.
Yeah, I think it's more the
having nice people in your
having
life.
nice people in my life, but also I think about the confidence that it's given me.
And you wish you'd been 20 something with that level of swagger.
Well, maybe 30 something would have been fine. Well, I suppose I was I don't know, 30s, late 30s, I don't know.
Ah, interesting.
So,
but then equally, as you say, the flip side of that is we wouldn't have had the years we had together without third parties involved, and maybe we wouldn't have the bond we have today had it not been for those formative relationship building years as just you and I.
I agree, and
but we don't know because it's not happened, is it?
Well, I think if we look at the trail of like the timeline of our relationship, the incredibly rocky start, the formative building that relationship properly stage, the sort of getting married phase, the getting comfortable, all that stuff. It took us a lot longer because the start was quite rocky for us getting together, and I actually think that we needed that to go through that to solidify where we were at. I mean, it'd be great if we didn't have to do the rocky bit.
Yeah, but also, like you say, things happen for a reason sometimes.
Yeah. And you can unpick it and you can go back and this is just like the episode of Voyager I watched. It was like the Year of Hell or whatever, where if you go back in time and unpick one thing and the impact on the rest of the galaxy is unfathomable.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And it's this whole sliding doors principle again, isn't it? And things could be very different if only you'd done something different at some point. Yeah. And, when you look back to your sort of empirical data on your relationship, you don't necessarily wish you'd done something different because you are where you are for a reason. And I firmly believe in that kismet kind of vibe that we have, that we are where we are now because of all the things that happened.
Yeah, I think there's stuff that we've done that we were very nervous about doing, and it took us a lot longer to get into that space. So, like one thing's like the podcast, like it took us a while longer to do that than it probably should have done. And we could have got into the groove on that quicker. Likewise with like the events, we could have been on it, but they're not like world ending problems. No. Like, oh no, it took us a long time to do events. And honestly, we were so nervous about our first event, and now people like do them all the time. And they just get together and knock them out.
Off we go.
And for us, it was like, oh my God, I wonder if it's possible, in the world, could we do an event? And we agonized over it for months and months and talked to different friends and had lots of ideas. And then we finally went to do one, and then fucking COVID hit. So I think, the only thing I would like to expedite some of the things that we went through, but ultimately I'm very happy where I am and very happy with the life that I've got. So I don't think if I could change it, I'd probably be quite different.
So was the question, would you change anything about your pathway into the lifestyle or just the lifestyle in general?
Would you change anything? Is there anything you would change about the way your lifestyle journey has gone?
Okay. So it really is about how it's come about. Yeah. I mean, I do kind of regret the initial way we kind of fell into this, in that we had like that ridiculous row, and I hold myself accountable a lot for my actions on that holiday. But at the same time, it did springboard us to where we are, and those conversations that happened
never,
after.
ever actually said that you regret those actions, ever.
I do a little
ever.
bit, because I don't like the fact that you were hurt by that. And as much as I've given you my version of apologies over the years, well, I'm like, sorry that you feel I'm wrong.
Yes.
But I do genuinely regret that, there was a really bad row that wasn't nice, and part of that was from my own actions, and I accept that, and I'm sorry. But also, it did also lead us to a series of events and conversations again that kind of made us tread very carefully.
Yeah,
so
I get
for
that.
those reasons, again, it's not the end of the world, but I do wish we could have avoided some of the not so great conversations and little bits of heartbreak here and there that happened.
This is true of the relationship,
anything, yeah.
and of anything, I suppose. Okay, all right. Is there something you'd wish you'd tried when you had a chance but got nervous? Oh my!
Things. Oh. I don't think I've avoided anything through nerves, actual nerves.
I think so. There's been some physical things that. So like DP, I remember you being very nervous about that, but I think part of that was having the right people there to try it with.
And I did do it eventually. It's all fine.
Yeah. You can get a T-shirt about it, still available in the store, by the way, if you want to buy
But
it. Go
no,
for
I
it.
also think that maybe it didn't happen because it wasn't the right people.
Yeah.
Previously.
No, I think-
it felt right when it felt right.
Yeah.
And then it was all fine.
I think there's been opportunities to sort of connect with people that we've kind of fumbled our way out of, or not picked up on, or not realised, or have been too nervous. And I think we've kind of gone, and then we've been in the car on the way home or whatever, and we've been, we really like them. Why didn't we do? I don't know. Why didn't you say anything? Or you've gone, she really liked you. Did you know that? And I was like, what? No, I had no idea.
So I think that was an inability maybe to not read signals very well sometimes, or maybe the more of a worry for me was that we were not on the same page with things, and because we didn't have that conversation there and then in the moment, and we waited until we were away from the situation, that it was only then that we went, we both could have done that.
Yeah.
We just didn't think to kind of talk about it there and then.
Yeah.
So regret possibly for our own lack of communication in the right way sometimes. I do recall one time when we left a situation and then had a chat on a street corner and went straight back again.
Yeah, I remember that.
Why? Why did we leave that room when actually we could have this could have been fine? And we did turn around and we did go back, and it was quite exciting in its own way, because we went, right, we're back again.
Yeah. And I think
we're going to do this now.
I don't think there's much that, that I'd wish I'd tried. I'm sure you'll point me to going to Rio's and someone offering me a blowjob, and you cursing me for turning it down.
Oh, well, I understand why you turned it down. Turns out you don't like the cock. No matter how pretty it is.
No matter how pretty it is. All right, okay.
I can't force you to like it. It's
No,
fine.
you can't. No matter how many times you push my head down on it.
I wouldn't dream of it.
You fucking would.
Dream
All
of
right.
it.
And I've got a couple answers for the next one.
Well, you've seen the question. That's not
I know.
fair.
Is there a couple in the lifestyle with perhaps a dynamic or an approach you really admire? No need to name names. Just be great to hear about any inspirations. I've got a few. Can I name some?
Well, you already know the answer to this question because you've seen it.
Well,
I need to think about it.
All right, you think about it, and I'll give you a couple of names that.
You're not allowed to give me names. You're going to give them fake names.
I'm going to give them names. Yeah, I'm going to give superhero names.
Oh.
So, firstly, I'm going to talk about Secret Stag and Secret Vixen.
Shocker.
I know, it's a shocker.
Who were they again? You never mentioned them.
I know, we haven't mentioned them for at least
the hot
5
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah.
But I really admire their dynamic and approach. And I think, and it's more him, I
Right.
think. He is possibly the most upbeat and cheerleady of any person I've ever met for his wife. He puts her on a pedestal. So tall, I don't think she'll ever get down from it, frankly, but that's another matter entirely. I know she's going to kill me for that. But actually, I really admire the way he gets so much joy from what she's doing. And actually, I admire her for being brave and going out and doing some of that stuff, because I think that sometimes that's a little bit out of her normal comfort zone. I know that's what she does.
I think she likes it though.
But I do think she likes it, yeah. She likes it. It says turning into Gollum here. Precious. But I do admire them both for that dynamic and that relentless enthusiasm and that kind of really championing each other. And there's something quite fantastic about that.
Although the dynamic them itself is not for you.
No, the dynamic itself is not for me.
Which is a hot wifey thing.
Which is
That's not your thing. But it's more their approach, you mean.
I admire their approach, their behaviour, the way they work together, the way they talk it through. All that stuff is like if you want the model of the way in which you should go about doing this stuff, I think a lot of what they do is a really great example of that. The other people I wanted to mention were, by the by, Bradford and Angela. And I mentioned them because they are fearless in whatever they want to do, whatever dynamic they want to try, they absolutely throw themselves at it and they enjoy it and learn from it. And they continuously challenge other people about their behaviours as well. And I think that's really a quality to admire. And the last one I want to mention is actually Kate from Wanderlust, because these are all people we mention regularly, but I admire them all for various reasons. But actually, I think I admire her ability to pull an event together and a community around that. I mean, we've worked with her, and a lot of the stuff we do is with Kate. And as a combo, as a team, I think we do a great job. But having been to just the events that she runs, I think she does a very good job of bringing in the right people, the right community, and giving them the right opportunities to connect. I love that mix of sort of education, which is really important to me, but also the entertainment that goes with it. Edutainment, as it were. I'm sure Daryl will slap me upside the head for the use of that word. But actually, I really admire her ability to just drive and just do that. Granted, she's likely to be like awake at 3 a.m, thinking about everything and and slightly scarily driven about it. But those are some people I admire. What about you, dear?
I think you might have stolen all my thunder though.
Aha!
Because you kind of rattled your 3 off, but they're obviously also people that I also know and love for similar reasons.
I also admire your approach, to be fair, in that you're much more free sailing than I am. It's an interesting one because I like chaos within a boundary. I like to know what the rules of engagement are and like to bounce amongst that. But you're very much, when you like something, you go with the flow. And that's a trait I really do admire. It causes me no end of problems.
I was going to say.
But I do admire your ability to do that. The trick is getting you into that space or getting the people that allow you to have that approach.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think because you can be very freewheeling when you're with the right people. Yeah. But if you're not sure about the people, then it's absolutely not that. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
I shall ponder on this one.
Okay.
And I might add something later. I might come back to this one.
No, there's no coming back to it. That's it. You're done now. No, there's no going back.
I'm going to freewheel my way through this podcast. Come back to it when I'm ready.
And this is often the case with all of the podcasts. So, next question. How would you feel if ethical non-monogamy, E&M, was actually just normal? Is it the fact that it feels a bit special and different and maybe secret part of the excitement? Or do you think the world would just be better if more/all relationships were ethically non-monogamous?
Well, I shall answer this first.
Go for it.
Because I have a theory on this. Well, I say
a demon, a dancing demon.
It's a dancing demon.
Something isn't right there.
It's bunnies. It's always been bunnies.
They're not just cute like everyone supposes.
So I think my own experiences in life have taught me that sometimes you do the things you do because you feel right in the moment and you don't have to slap a label on it. You just end up having a sequence of events in your life that don't necessarily have to be called or defined anything.
Yep.
All right. Now, all this has to be carefully defined, and people like to call it something, and it people like to give their relationship some kind of dynamic, and why not? That's fine. If that's what works for you and you want to do that, cool. And if that's how you want to kind of have your relationship carved out, fine. But years and years and years ago, I'm fairly sure I cracked on and had a threesome with someone and didn't call it anything other than a good night.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm getting at is, I think it felt way back younger, Mrs. H probably just did these things anyway and thought they were fun.
Yeah.
And I kind of just assumed that everyone else did something similar to me, as is very often the case with me. I kind of, granted I was naive and I didn't have, the frame of reference that I have now later in life, where I know that people don't necessarily just behave like that because it's the norm. I did what I felt like doing at the time because it felt good. And if I had chemistry with someone, I'd go and do that. And now I think it's overthought sometimes and overcomplicated sometimes. And I know in the past I've kind of, alluded to this Occam's razor kind of scenario where it's just a simple scenario is often the best one for me. And the more I apply some kind of lengthy thinking process to it, the more I talk myself out of something. So I think in answer to this, for me, I think the fact that it is called E&M in this particular community that we're in doesn't make it any more exciting or clandestine to me. It just simply provides some clarity behind why people maybe behave the way they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think for us, if I think about this, when we started this adventure, it was a naughty little secret that only we knew.
I agree.
And I think there's something very powerful, particularly at the beginning, the thrill of being caught or the worry of being caught, we did something naughty this weekend, the coming back into work and people going, oh, so what did you do this weekend?
We want to know.
Could not possibly tell you, my good man. That thrill is very alluring. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people don't like to put the labels on it because it takes the power away from that naughty little secret. However, I think the naughty little secret, certainly for us, has faded over time. And it's a pendulum that is flipped over to the other side or started to go to the other side, where actually talking about it is more exciting than not talking about it. And not giving, I don't mean I go into work on Monday night, hey, guess what I did, or guess who I did this weekend, or whatever. That's not the thing. It's about the joy of sharing the community with other people. Now, I get that some people, because of the way in which their jobs work or whatever, or family or religion, or whatever it is that's preventing them from being out, I get that that's a very fucking scary concept. But I genuinely believe that actually once you get over that initial thrill, then there is a lot to be said for being open with what's going on. And I think the benefits of being open outweigh the thrill of the secrecy that sits behind the door. But I think I get why people find it exciting, because we did. It's like, oh my God, can you believe what we did? And even in the car, it's like on the way back from a club or something, we're like, oh my God, we did this. Did you see? And all this stuff is fantastic, and it's sexual, and it's driven, and it's energy, and all this great spark is, and you're like, but no one can ever know about it. But then for me, I think that part of that illicit thrill wears off. You still get as much enjoyment and as much excitement in the connections that you make. As far as I'm concerned, certainly that's been my experience. But I'm much more excited to tell people about this fantastic community. Not to name and shame people. You're not going to go down Tesco's and see pictures of yourself pinned up there with swinger written down the bottom of it. But I there is something about the openness and moving this into a space where this is much more accepted. And I would much rather people weren't judged and weren't afraid of losing their jobs, and this was a protected hobby almost like a protected characteristic. I know it doesn't quite sit in that, but I would much rather that and give up the thrill of the unknown for the protection of people later on. That would be where my head is.
So
at.
I think if I went to kiss somebody, I think I'd do that because I find them attractive and there's a chemistry, not because I think, oh my God, I'm a swinger, I must go and kiss someone who's not my partner.
Yeah.
And I still refrain a lot from using that terminology when I'm telling people who don't know about my particular relationship dynamic. I refrain from using the word swinger, and I don't even tend to drop in the catchy little ENM either sometimes. I like to just maybe refer to the fact that our relationship is open.
Okay.
And, you know, I don't necessarily feel, well, I'm a swinger. I think I just prefer, as you say, the kind of relaxed fluidity of just, if you fancy someone and it feels nice, and off we go.
I don't mind the swinger name so much, and I'll use it at work, and I'll use it when people are like, because I'll be like, do you know about the stuff I do outside of work? And they'll be like, no, and I'll be like, okay. So
well, I can talk about the stuff we do, but I don't necessarily refer to that.
But
part.
I see my next line is, well, so my wife and I are swingers. We're ethically non-monogamous. We've got a podcast. We do this, and this, and this. I think it cuts to the chase.
It does.
Because ethical non-monogamy as a concept is great with a certain audience group, and they get that. But for every other bugger out there, swingers is a cut through word. They go, oh, is that? And then you go, well, actually, this is how we operate, and this is how we do it, and this is how we approach it. And likewise, if I hear the phrase "dirty swingers," I will jump in at work and
with them. I'm going to jump in
the pool.
Swingers.
Look at this pool of dirty swingers.
I do understand all that, and you know, the use of the language in all of this is extremely powerful and extremely, affirming sometimes, and has the ability to be both positive and negative depending on who you're talking to and how it's come up. But I can't help but just as a personal preference, I just don't like the terminology of swinger.
I get that.
And it doesn't make me feel like I want to refer to myself as that. And so I do find it a lot more palatable, especially for me, to say, yeah, we have an open relationship.
Yeah.
But I then do go on to explain kind of what that means. And then I'm very happy to talk about all the other stuff that we do, which is more community driven.
Yeah. No,
so I'm really proud of that. And
me too.
I think that's the part that I do kind of in some way want to define, because it's important that people understand why it exists and why it needs to exist.
Oh, no, I agree. I think that's important. Okay, next question. What are your celeb whore pass lists? And what would you do if you discovered any of the folk on the said lists were in the lifestyle?
I think at one point, didn't we discover that it was it Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith?
She is not on my list.
I didn't say she's on your list.
Get
I said
my wife's name.
I said that they were in the media for being open.
Yes, I think so. There's been a variety of open people. In terms of hall pass this though, I mean, I struggle to.
Can we just share them?
It's just Mila Kunis, isn't it? It's just
no, it's not just Mila Kunis.
Pretty much.
Oh, well, yeah, she's nice, but there's other people, right?
Who else is on the list for you then?
Tons of people.
All right,
it's a whole podcast.
Which men are on the list?
Which men?
Yes, is there a tiny Iron Man sized one on there?
I do like Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, he's really nice. I would definitely.
Perhaps a big tall green one.
Oh, Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Well, but all Avengers. I'm just you mentioned two.
Yes, I know. You're just working through your Avenger list.
I mean, I don't particularly want Chris Evans on there.
No, I know you don't.
Hemsworth,
awful radio DJ.
Maybe.
Don't forget your toothbrush.
However, Ruffalo can certainly go on there. I do like him. There's quite a few. I'm still putting Matt Berry in there.
But
I don't care. I mean, he can just talk me into bed.
What about Jack Black? Has he moved off the list now? I think 5 years ago.
He's starting to move a little bit because, yeah, I think I might have to move him.
Is he bumped off the list?
A little bit. I do still love listening to him sing.
Okay. And what about the ladies on the list?
Well, yeah, I think I've alluded to Mila Kunis being great.
Mm-hmm.
I think Natalie Portman might have been up there as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyone else? Can you think of that I was particularly struck by?
Not off the top of my head. We don't tend to do the celebrity list thing
Do
particularly.
you know what? I think we did this years ago before we were into this. Probably more.
I think, yeah, but then I don't know, was it because there was a lot of Buffy people on that list at one point.
That's true. But again, this is all pre lifestyle-y.
Yeah. See, I'd be going with a bit of Jessica Jones because, you know.
She just constantly looks like she needs a bath.
Yes. But then she's always happy to have a drink, which would be perfect for a relationship of sorts, right?
It's kind of like grubby.
Fine. And Colby Smulders, that's fine. Again, another Marvel adjacent
What
person.
is going on with Marvel?
Yeah. I'm not sure who else though. I'm kind of.
Oh, and that fella from the My Chemical Romance, but only in that one song.
Oh, and the Black Parade.
Yes.
This is for you, not for me, right?
Yeah.
All right.
But only in that video singing that one song.
Okay. And
nothing else.
all right. So if you had a hall pass,
then him in that costume in that video.
No, leave it on.
Something about that. I don't know.
Sometimes I get the feeling
I don't know what it
he's
is.
coming over me.
Stop it. Maybe just like the outfit. I don't know what it is.
There is something about it. I think it's the bleached blonde hair.
I think even you fancy him.
And the black
in
outfit.
that
I like the
video.
outfit. It's an outfit I could probably
powerful.
wear. Yeah. Shift a little bit more timber and I'll be there, dear. It'll be great. So that's the hall pass thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How was it different when you started socializing with single people, whether individually or as a couple, and whether the person was single or one half of a couple? Were there unexpected differences or conversations required?
There's a lot of words in there.
There are.
Can you start again?
How was it different when you started socializing with single people?
Right. I can answer this straight away. I actually prefer socializing with you by my side
Okay.
as a partner, as a couple.
Do you?
Socializing. I do. I really, really, really do love that we, as a unit,
Is this why I carry the weight of
unit.
most conversations?
No, we are both.
So
I
you
think
can
we
coast.
both bring a lot socially to a dynamic, a four-way dynamic.
So I
or
bring
whatever.
conversation and you bring looking down your nose.
And a whistle. I've added a whistle now.
You've added a whistle.
No, I think when we're talking to people socially, I really like having you with me because I think we just bounce off each other quite well. So I do miss that. You know, single dating or single encounters, it's very different. You know, I don't have you, my little wingman there with me, like because we're good together, and I do enjoy that.
So I think, I do miss going out with you and going on like little dates with other people. I think I really enjoy that.
I've had some amazingly funny nights with you, with other people, because we just get going and laugh and it's brilliant.
I think quite often though, we've been not stuck in a loop, how awful for us, first world problems. We've been sort of fairly event driven be it socials run by other people, our social, our events.
Big events.
Big things that we've been going to, rather than us going out on a night out with a couple or a single to that end. So I think that's something that, you know, that I've always enjoyed, and I've been saying for a while that, you know, that we want to get back into it. I think the trick is that you don't drive that part at all in terms of looking for people or and that's not an accusation. That's just a reality.
I'm not as I just don't.
I mean, your
devote as much
TikTok
time
has
to it.
died a death already.
Oh, blah,
so
blah, blah.
the one thing that you had to keep afloat is gone. So I think for me,
I'll bring it back.
Eventually, I think I find it difficult because it is just me pursuing and then going, hey, are we free this date?
Yeah.
And often I'm just the one that's driving that, and it is rarely you, unless it's people that we already know and they go, hey, are we free this date? Mm-hmm. And rarely is it you asking those people if they're free. It's normally me going, hey, should we see if such and such is free? Should we catch up with them?
Okay.
So I think there's definitely I feel like I am the driving force in that stuff. And that can get, you know, doing all the other stuff, as I've said, that I don't want to get to the point where I hate doing it because I'm tired of driving the whole thing. So there is that in the back of my mind, but I do love going on dates. I think in terms of the single thing, So we haven't really had a massive amount of single dating experience, or indeed looking for people as singles. So I don't think we've not
We haven't looked for new people that we don't know, have we?
No, they've always been people that we've known.
Yeah.
And I think there's people. I mean, there is some opportunities for people that we've met for us to have a date with. And I think but we haven't really sort of locked that down yet. I think because we've just paused on the single dating bit a little bit, mainly because we've got so much fucking going on. But I think going back to that, I don't know how different it would be for us going out solo and individual, or even going to going to a social event and looking for people as a single, but even though we're there as a couple. So I don't quite know how that would work. And I don't know how either one of us would feel with the other one doing that. I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to get a bit jealous and not like it.
Potentially.
I can see the look on your eyes already.
I honestly don't know, because it's not happened yet. But I think I understand what you mean. It could potentially make us feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Equally, I mean, we had a conversation the other day. We had a lovely friend down, and you were both challenging me, like, "Oh, why don't you go out on dates with couples and all sorts of stuff?" And I was like, "Whoa, there, fucking!" and it was like, "Why don't you go there?"
I offered to go on a date with a couple myself,
and you were like, "Oh, it'd be really hot if Simon did this," and I'm like, "Well, that's great, but I don't know how I feel about any of this stuff yet."
But we were 3 sheets to the wind.
If I know you were 3 sheets to the wind, I was attacked by the two of them. No. It's not a terrible situation, but it was very much a...
Wait, you were attacked later?
Yes, definitely. I think there is I haven't had chance to process the thought of that because it had never been something that we'd brought up previously.
No, it came up in the heat of the moment after 3 bottles of wine. Who knew?
But the thing is that, and this is where it goes back to that space about the way I admire the way you think, and that you're like, yeah, that sounds great. And I'm like, fucking hell, that sounds terrifying. Not the idea of me going and doing that, but the idea of you going and doing that without me. And I'm like, nope. That horrifies me. And yeah. And, the risk of me being left alone I don't know, for some reason, crying in a bathtub.
You don't even have baths.
In a flat that's not even this house anymore. While the dog stares at me from the window across the road because she doesn't live with me anymore. It's like, oh my God, my fear of abandonment is kicked up 42 notches. It's that's.
Oh my God, This is a terrible situation you've created for yourself.
It is. And it all begins with you having that date. But this is the thing, and that's the way that my mind works. It's like it goes to the worst case scenario of that. How am I going to feel being left out and it not being part of it? And why are we doing that? But yeah, that was a challenging, fun half an hour that we had.
I just thought it'd be really fun.
And that's the way you see it. Is like, hey, that would be a really good bit of fun.
At no point were either of us in my scenario left alone crying in a bathtub.
But then the thing is, right, you're like, yeah, I'd like
dog.
When you were like, yeah, I'd like to do that. That would be great. And in my head, I'm like, what am I doing at this point?
Do the same.
No, but I'm not doing that at the exact same time, am I? Because that's the reality of life.
True.
It doesn't work that way. So I'm either sat at home alone or I'm doing something else. And then I'm like, how do I fill that time? How do I get my mind off of that stuff? It is not in my nature to go, yay, she's out doing this. Because I'm like, what? She's doing something without me. Why aren't I doing something? Why aren't I involved? All that stuff comes.
Yeah, I get that.
The way in which I think about this is very different to you.
It is. No, I know.
But the difference is, I think, is that I've been, as we've said before, I've been substantially hurt throughout relationships. And I've been left and abandoned. So I have the ultimate DEFCON 1, always ready to push and put a hold on everything. Whereas you've been much more like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do whatever. I don't give no fucks. And often it's not that you're, and I wouldn't accuse you of being selfish, but I don't think you necessarily have awareness of what you're thinking the impact it would have on other people.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like, well, we need to be like your I don't fuck men t-shirt or whatever it was that you got.
Didn't even think that would offend you.
Yeah, well, I was like, yeah, but then you're wearing it around town with I like women or I only like women or something like that.
I prefer girls.
I prefer girls. Yeah, there we go. And I'm like,
but I do.
Well, Thanks.
But I like you more.
T-shirt.
It didn't say that.
Doesn't
on the back
say
of
that.
the-
No, it doesn't say that on the back or the front. It doesn't say I prefer girls, except in the
Except this one.
situation of my husband, who's the handsome one, stood next to me, and he's pretty all right. Didn't you know? Thanks. Cheers. Didn't say that. It just says I prefer girls.
I could approach him and ask him to add it.
It feels very, very specific to me.
Yeah.
But the problem is that if I were to wear, I prefer. I can't say boys because you'd be like clapping. No,
I'd buy you 10 T-shirts in different colours
I know you would.
to go with your lonely dog and you sit down, shower, cry.
But if I was to wear a T-shirt that said, I don't know, I prefer some other girl's name on it.
But that personifies it. Mine didn't have someone's name on it. It was just
All right, I
referring
prefer
to
women that aren't my wife.
Oh.
Because that's what you're saying. So
Oh.
so now you react to it. But when you see it from your perspective, you're like, I'm just wearing a T-shirt that says I prefer girls, and I do, which is great. But it doesn't. Your consideration around the impact it might have on me isn't.
yeah.
And I know I'm overtly sensitive, gentle listener. I'm fully aware of this. But my point is that you're not particularly good, wife, of looking at it from that perspective. Whereas, as part of my job, I am trained to attack things from all sides, so when I produce a bit of material or whatever that goes out into the world for people to read, I have to read it with the view that everyone needs to be able to understand it, and everyone has to be able to poke holes in it, and it has to hold water.
I don't think anything with holes in would hold water.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
But yes, I totally get what you mean.
Okay.
I like the T-shirt.
Okay. Final question. Final question.
Do you want me to kill it with fire?
Well, this final question.
No, the T-shirt.
No, the T-shirt is fine. I understand that you like the T-shirt.
Yes.
I just didn't like the concept of it without you thinking about me being next to you while you wear it.
Cool.
I'm sure you'll wear it to some sort of gay night or other out somewhere and you'll
What?
be fine. Knowing you. Right. Have there been any negative connections that have subsequently influenced your approach consciously or subconsciously? And if so, how did you rebuild your own confidence to not let it influence your approach going forward? How much wood would a woodchuck chuck or woodchuck could chuck wood?
Yeah, but I can think of something, but I don't know. I think it might be your thing, not my thing.
So-
Maybe.
I can talk. There's a couple of things
Yeah.
really that have influenced it. I think
Because we've
that-
just established that I'm a stone cold, like, don't give a shit about anything.
I don't give no fucks.
Don't
My
get-
name's
Don't
Mrs.
get
H.
influenced
Yeah.
or left with a lonely dog.
So there was a couple of years ago. We had a date and what ended up being a playtime with a couple.
Yes.
And I was a bit on the fence with it.
Yes.
And I kind of went with because you were sort of you had your sort of let's chuck in and like
Yeah.
let's all enjoy it, and I did that, and it ended up being a really regrettable play experience, and indeed the people ended up not really being for us, but in particular not for me, and I think I found myself changing in a way that I didn't like as a result of that encounter, and. I, as a result, I think it's really had an impact on my ability to jump in and just
Go with the flow.
just go with the flow. Because I went with the flow and it ended up being this not great experience for us, and particularly me. And I regretted it. And it's really, really damaged my ability to just chill out and be like, oh, it's only a bit of sex, it's only a bit of fun. Let's just jump in and have some fun. And I really recognised that when we went to Croatia, Spicy Island, and there were opportunities to sort of jump in and connect and mess around and play with people. But I think the thing was in my head there were people that ordinarily I wouldn't want to play with,
Right.
but I could have played with, and I'm like, do I just jump in and have the fun and enjoy the moment? And I've really struggled to cross that barrier for me because my gut was kind of going,
Yeah.
and I can trace it right back to that encounter a couple of years back, and I can really see how it's influenced my ability to relax within the space. Coupled that with, we're not very quick sometimes at making decisions. despite your free flowingness, you're very free flowing when it's people that you like. But knowing if you like them or not can be really tricky.
Sometimes I'm not sure. You're right.
And sometimes it can take you months to get to the point
Yeah,
where you
I
like
know,
someone,
I know.
and then that opportunity may have passed.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm sort of ultra resistant to be like, yeah, let's go for it. If I really have a connection with one of them, and be like, yeah, this is going to be fantastic. Let's all go do this. Because I don't know where you're at, and you may not know where you're at. But then I'm also reticent because of just going, oh, it's only some sexy fun. It'll be fine. It's like, what's the harm? It's like a disposable kind of experience. That feels a bit hollow to me anyway, but sometimes that's fun and okay. But I've been really, really reticent to go against the gut instinct of I wouldn't, if I wouldn't normally seek you out and play with you, then why would why would I be like, hey, Lena, why would I think with my penis, I guess? Which I normally do, and normally it has some good advice, but I just, that's really hampered my ability to sit in that space. And sometimes it's hard to know, am I just being stuck up about it, or is there a genuine thing in my gut that's going, you're really not attracted to them? And sometimes people are on that line, and you kind of think, well, you know what, let's have a bit of fun. Let's do that.
Let's not overthink it.
Let's not overthink it.
See if it is just.
And there was an occasion, sort of not that recently, but in the last 12 months where we did that, and actually it did turn out all right. But I was fretting over that decision, and I was up until the moment at which it happened. I wasn't too sure where I was at, but it transpired that you were like well on board with the train, so it sort of happened.
I'm trying to think. All right.
So yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not going to name names and stuff, especially to point it out to you, and we can always talk about that later between us. But for me, that's something that's really had a negative connotation. I think there's been other examples where I haven't, and I'm sure we'll come and cover them at some point on the show, but where I haven't been upfront about not being interested with someone, and that's had some impact. And I've become quite. I really, I like people to be interested and be forwards about it, but I also like to be able to do the same. So it's definitely stuck in my mind about this caution, about this making sure someone's really into you and being really not aggressively, but really sort of accepting and really like, yay, this is fun, let's go for it. Like making sure that that's there before I go into a situation.
It boils down to your self-worth, really, doesn't it? Because, why would you settle for something that you're already a little bit mediocre about? Because you're worth more than that.
Well, I think there are...
And you both, you all owe it to yourselves to have an enjoyable experience, really. And I can definitely remember times when and it does kind of dovetail nicely with the whole taking one for the team scenario to some extent.
Yeah.
Because, there's been times when we've not been on the same page with things, but you've kind of just gone, all right, well, one of us has just gone along with it.
Yeah.
Which is not right. But that definitely does influence how I see things further down the line, because I do recall the way those things made me feel at the time and thought, I shouldn't have done that. And it's not done my self-worth any good, and it's probably not fair on them either.
Agreed.
And that's not a good way to feel.
I mean, there's certainly been situations where we've played and you've come away and been like, wow, that was amazing. And I'm like, I just want to quit the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think, that's definitely encouraged me to, like, if I'm not feeling it in the moment, to go, right, this is something we're not doing. This, we are, and to be honest about that. And then I eased off of that. This was like years ago, and I was like, oh, okay, it's fine. Maybe I don't need to be quite so militant about it. And then the other incident happened, and now I'm back to where I was. And I find it very hard to kind of live in that, which is really strange, because I do know I love, like, when we're in a space where we know people and I feel safe and comfortable, I love the freewheeling aspect of it. I really enjoy that. But at the same point, like meeting new people, I find it difficult to kind of know that balance sometimes. that fair? How did you rebuild your own confidence? I guess to a certain extent, that it's still an issue for me. It's not made my life massively difficult because I've just put the brakes on quicker than I would do normally, and I try not to put myself in situations where that's going to be a thing. But actually, there's still a lot that I need to do to work on myself to get into that space where it's all okay. Is that fair? I mean,
no, yeah, I'm listening to all this and just I can recall some of the things you're referring to for sure, because we've come away and talked about them afterwards.
Yeah.
I think for me, because it's so rare for me to actually form an attraction instantly to an entire couple, both the man and the woman. Okay, if I'm going to be really basic. Maybe I'm a little more laissez-faire with my approach to just having fun in the moment, because it's so rare that I find everyone to be what I want. And I'm also painfully aware that I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And so when things do kind of like connect, I'm almost like, oh my God, this is brilliant. And sometimes I'm so far away from, knowing how I feel about someone. And I don't want to mess around, and I don't want to string you along or create false hope by going, oh, I don't know, could be into it, could be not. And that's not fair either. It's a minefield when you really break it down. The moving parts that are involved with all of the little neurons of attraction that sit in the middle of it all. So sometimes I know we've been to events and parties where we've seen people just strike up connections instantly and gone, how have we done that? Like, are we just being fussy? Have we not done that?
There is something in the fact that I don't think our experience of going to events in that way is that great. Like we've not, because we've done a lot of our own stuff.
Yeah.
So often, as much as you can find time to enjoy your stuff, and whether you should or shouldn't is another conversation for another day. But you can find time to enjoy yourself. But for the most part, for 85, 90%, just putting a figure out of the air, you're on host duty. So even if it's a social event, we spent like an hour welcoming people into the event. We spent an hour doing whistle blowing and, speed dating and handing out drinks. And then we spent like another hour and a half wandering around the place, making sure people that were sat in corners were okay, reaching out to everybody, checking in with everybody, saying hello. And, and then we got to, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours in, and we just sat down for the first time. And then someone hilariously came and was like, oh, sitting down in the corner at your own socialite. And I was like,
somebody sat down.
Yeah, fucking hell, give me a fucking break. And I think it's hard. And I think, at your own events, you don't get the opportunity to practice those skills.
No.
You practice different skills. You're hosting, and that is a different thing to going to an event and doing it. And we are notoriously bad at socializing in terms of other events. And often, by the time we find people that we know and we hunker down, as we've talked about many a time, and actually introducing ourselves to other people and but also like working out whether we like them or not is like an impossibility for us.
I know. That's the bit I really struggle with.
Yeah. And I think there is we're absolutely right to have standards and not and to take time to work out whether we like people. But actually, if it's going to take us time, then we need to be mindful as well that striking up a relationship and hitting it off and then going back to someone's place in the same night is nearly impossible for us. We need to be realistic with that.
Yeah, true.
So So
I know. I don't know what the answer is.
There is no answer. We just continue to try and get better. I think sometimes we need to go to things where we don't know people and try and enjoy it as hey, we've turned up and let's randomly meet people. The problem is with that is that you go to a place and you can't always fit in, or there's not very many people there, or it's the wrong night or whatever. So all this stuff is against you. So it's nice to go to places where you know the people, but that prevents you from doing the socializing and building the new connections. So you're stuck in this loop. And I had this conversation with people at the social. It's like, it's great because there was new people within that realm, but equally they said it's really hard not to spend time catching up with people that you already know. Yeah. So
I know.
So it is a bit of a loop. Hence the speed dating, hence the forcing people, not forcing them, but encouraging them to talk to other people and to get around a bit and to have a brief conversation. It might only be 2 minutes, but that 2 minutes could mean the world in terms of talking to somebody that perhaps you wouldn't have done before. And I think that's the key bit. Maybe we, because we didn't get to take part in that because we were too busy blowing whistles and providing Prosecco every 2.5 minutes. But maybe something like that is something that we need to sort of jump into and look for those kind of opportunities. Who knows? Anyway, I think we've answered all the questions that I could find. I think we've kind of waffled on for quite some time now and probably bored you to tears, so I do apologise about that. And, in terms of stuff coming up, we've got some exciting weekends planned.
Quite a few.
We've got
We're
some
busy.
fancy dress to go to. Not Halloween, strangely enough.
No.
We've got some birthday things. We've got parties. We've got a single lady coming around to visit. It's all very exciting.
All stuff.
And then we'll probably talk about some of it, maybe. Who knows, right? Right, Mrs. H, do your thing.
Well, thank you for hopping into our bed.
Have you got a joke?
Not on me.
What?
Not on me.
Not on you?
I mean, I'd have to go and get it.
In your joke cupboard.
Yeah, my joke cupboard.
I'll get it. Off she goes, the joke cupboard.
Oh, I might remember one actually.
Go on then.
Okay, I might get this wrong because I've literally read it once and it might not work so well in translation.
All right.
But I recently had a friend who came into a load of money, which is weird because I like to come into a load of tissues normally. Oh, come on, I remembered it. You put me on the spot. I remember the fucking joke. I have the joke.